October has arrived, and as a baseball fan, that means the postseason is upon us. Here on Playoff Preview, we are going to break down each team's strengths and weaknesses, along with who we think can make a deep run towards the World Series. NL frontrunners, the LA Dodgers, just capped off their 7th straight season with 90-plus wins. They're looking to make their 3rd straight World Series, but win it for the first time in nearly 3 decades. The AL 1 seed and team with the best overall record is the Houston Astros, who are the most recent champs playing in this year's postseason. They've made the playoffs 4 of the past 5 years and have won 3 consecutive division championships. Will the Stros get their 2nd in 3 years? And who can forget about the local guys? Each of the past 2 seasons, the Yankees' playoff run has come to an end at the hand of the eventual champs. Will the Pinstripes' unfortunate streak continue, or is this the year they finally get over the hump? We'll prepare you for the wild card games on Tuesday and Wednesday, highlight each of the upcoming division series, and project how far we see each team going this October. I'm Dylan Camp, and this is PTV Presents MLB Playoff Preview. And we welcome you back inside our Fahey Hall studios. I am now joined by Edward Wolf and Ben Harris. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Pretty good. I'm excited to be here.
All right, Ed?
Yeah, I'm just happy to be here.
All right, let's talk about some playoff baseball. We're going to start with a quick summary of each team. We're just going to break down what we think our strengths and weaknesses are. So, Ben, let's start with you. You've got the AL wildcard teams as well as the Houston Astros. Tell me what you think about them.
All right, so I'm really interested in the Athletics this game. I really think the A's are going to come out of the AL wildcard, beat the Rays in that one-game tight, just intense wildcard matchup. And I think the A's might be like my favorite to be a sleeper a little bit, maybe. We'll get to that later on. But I just think they have so much power in a lineup that has Matt Chapman and guys like Chris Davis and Matt Olson.
Absolutely.
And just their defense, along with, especially with Chapman and Olsen, is just so strong. For the Rays, I think they're a solid team. Their bullpen and starting pitching has been great the whole year. I think they had the best bullpen ERA in the major leagues with 3.66.
Wow.
They were, I think, second behind the Dodgers for regular season starting, or not even starting, just like team ERA as a whole. But I am a little concerned just about their depth, and they're not a good offensive team, the Rays aren't. They just haven't had that run support the entire year. They were 18th in total runs with 769 on the year, and they left an average of 3.47 runners in scoring position per game. And that's just not what wild card games are going to be about. So I think the A's are going to come out of the wild card. But as far as the Astros, I mean, they're the favorite in the AL. They've got some of the best starting pitching we've seen ever.
Absolutely.
With Justin Verlander, Zach Greinke, I mean, they've got such a loaded lineup. Garrett Cole, who's going to be a free agent soon, and even guys like Miley. They're just stacked when it comes to starting pitching. And, who can forget they've just got, Jose Altuve, guys like Springer.
Bregman, Correa, absolutely.
Michael Brantley.
Yeah, Yuli Gurriel. Michael Brantley's been a great pickup. Coming from Cleveland, he's been a perennial all-star, but who knew he would have a breakout year like this? Not even breakout, just exceeding expectations to a point. And so I think the Astros are in real good position to make a run.
So depth and pitching is what you think of their strong suits.
100%. However, I do think, if anyone is going to beat the Astros, it's going to be on the base paths. They had an incredibly low percentage stopping base runners. They let up steals 0.815.
Wow.
Percent of steals were successful against them. So if you're going to beat the Astros, you're going to beat them on the base paths.
We saw the Royals do that a couple years ago when they won the World Series, and the year before as well. They were very effective on the base paths. I'm going to talk about the NL wild card and the 1 seed in that league, the Dodgers. So to me, we'll start with the away team in the NL wild card game. It's the Brewers. Their strength is their experience. I think they've got a lot of guys on that roster that have been in the playoffs before. You look at Lorenzo Cain, Mike Moustakas, Gio Gonzalez, Ryan Braun, Yasmani Grandal. They each have 3 or more years of playoff experience. It's largely the same roster from last year when they made it to the NLCS. So I think their experience is really going to help them. And then when Yelich went down a couple weeks ago, I think that kind of helped keep them on course and kept them in the playoffs. But then talking about Christian Yelich, that's obviously their biggest weakness. I mean, he was the league MVP last year, and he was on pace to be very competitive for the same award this year. He goes down with a fractured kneecap, just a crazy foul ball off his knee. He led the team in home runs as well as stolen bases with 44 and 30, and he left with 17 games left to play. He was having an immaculate season.
Yeah, it was a real tough break for them.
Yeah, so for that reason, I think the Nationals have a slight edge kicking it over to them. Their strength is their starting pitching. I mean, Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, and Patrick Corbin all have 3 or more years worth of all-star experience, so they've got that kind of gold prestige to them.
Strasburg had a great comeback year, led the league in wins, right?
Absolutely.
19?
Yeah, he was up there. National League,
Or
he did
National
lead.
League,
Yes. And then Scherzer obviously has several Cy Youngs as well. Joe Ross or Anibal Sanchez, that's your 4th starter. That's really strong in that 4th game. So great pitching. I think the Nats are easily in the top half. Maybe you can even move them further in terms of starting pitching. And they're also on a great hot streak right now. In terms of weaknesses, their bullpen, a lot less consistent than that starting staff. Fernando Rodney had a really tough season in terms of ERA. So did Hunter Strickland. As a Mets fan, I saw that Doolittle and Rodney both blow saves in back-to-back games earlier this year when the Mets were on that crazy hot streak. And even though Doolittle's had a more consistent year, just inconsistency as a whole for that Nationals bullpen I think will be an issue for them. And then going into that Dodgers series, the Dodgers, their strength's everything. I mean, they have 106 wins in the NL 1 seed for a reason. You look at Clayton Kershaw, Hyun-Jin Ryu, Walker Buehler, and Rich Hill all have ERAs under 3.3 in their starting staff. That's probably going to be their 4 guys that they throw out there. Their bullpen's extremely effective as well. Kenley Jansen and Dustin May come to mind. May's had a great rookie year. And then even their lineup, I mean, Cody Bellinger's probably going to be the MVP now that Yelich is gone. He's got a .305 batting average on the year, 47 home runs, 115 RBIs. Him along with Jock Peterson, Corey Seager, Justin Turner. I mean, it's a stacked team, kind of like the Astros. Exactly. They're the 1 seeds for a reason. I think you kind of mentioned it. The one thing that I think will kill the Dodgers is their speed. More than a third of the league had 2 players that have more stolen bases than the Dodgers' top guy, which is Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger can't run.
Yeah, Cody Bellinger is not known for his speed.
Right, he's not known for his speed at all. So how is he your number 1 stolen base guy?
Exactly.
He only had 15 on the season. So that, to me, is going to be their biggest deficit. You saw, I talked about it, the Royals a couple years ago absolutely abused teams with their speed in the late innings. They would just pinch run somebody, and boom, he was in third in 2 pitches. So Dodgers really don't have that asset to their advantage, and I think that will be where they struggle. Ed Wolf, you got both the 2 and 3 seeds in the AL and NL. Tell me what you think about them.
Yeah, so you have a lot of really interesting matchups. Starting off with the Yankees and the Twins, you have a rematch of what seems like almost every year now is the Yankees and the Twins.
Right.
And
feels like it for sure.
It really does feel like it. And for the Twins, it's going to be tough for them because in the past, numbers don't go their way.
Okay.
And right now, they really have to look to slay the dragon. Both these teams, the Yankees and the Twins, they're very similar where they're going to hit a lot of home runs, they're going to strike out a lot, and you want them to get to their bullpen.
Right.
Both their starting rotations are very weak.
Yeah.
Looking at the Twins, they out-slugged the Yankees for the home run record, getting 307 home runs,
Okay.
which is all-time record now.
Which is incredible.
And they were the first team ever in MLB history to have 5 players reach 30 home runs.
Wow.
And that includes Nelson Cruz, Max Kepler, Eddie Rosario, Mitch Garver. All 4 of those guys getting it before Miguel Sano, who is probably arguably one of their best hitters on the
Right.
team. Which that's the craziest part about that number.
Right.
And then looking at their weaknesses, it really is the starting pitching, though, because you have their starting rotation with a 4.77 ERA since the second half, since the All-Star break.
Okay.
They're going to get a lot of home runs, but they're going to be giving up a lot of home runs and a lot of runs. And when you lose a guy like Michael Pineda because of the suspension,
Right.
he was going to be one of the top pitchers, the guy with the veteran leadership on that team. Losing him, having Kyle Gibson, he's battling colitis. So Martin Perez, he has a 6.37 ERA.
Okay.
There's a lot of guys there that they're struggling with the rotation. So you're going to see them go to the bullpen fast. Similar to the Yankees, where their bullpen, if you can get them into the 7th inning with Adam Ottavino, Zach Britton, and Aroldis Chapman, that can just win you game after game.
I mean, Chapman's got probably one of the best fastballs you've seen ever, so.
And I'd argue that his slider is even better than his fastball. That's the scary part about Chapman.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when your slider is 88 miles per hour, what's a hitter supposed to do? Like,
And those are just the three of the big names. You have guys like Chad Green, who struggled very early in the season. They brought him down to the minors. And in his last 10 appearances, he has a .54 ERA. You're going to see the Yankees use him in the opener role. And that's one thing that the Yankees are going to be doing with their rotation is they're going to get very creative. They have to because they're lacking a lot of the depth in their rotation, which is one of their biggest weakness. They're very inconsistent with their relievers. You don't know what you're going to get from Sevy. Severino's been out the entire season. Same with Giancarlo Stanton and their offense. There's just so many question marks for these Yankees where they may be able to get past the Twins, but if you face a team like the Astros, that home field advantage may really come back to bite them. Looking on the other side, you have the Cardinals and the Braves in the National League.
It's going to be an interesting series.
It really will be an interesting series. The Cardinals are one of those sneaky teams where they were able to take advantage of every team just kind of skating their way through the season, and the Cardinals were the team that were able to really pull ahead. You saw the Cubs fall back a bit, and the Cardinals, they're one of those teams that they're very sneaky. They play by small ball. They're very similar to the 2015 Royals. They like to steal a lot of bases. They play very clean defense, and they're going to win off their stolen bases. You have guys like Colton Wong, Tommy Edman, Marcell Ozuna, and Harrison Bader with all around 20 steals. You have their percentage at 80% on the year with stolen bases, 116 for 145.
Wow.
Yeah.
And their bullpen, while they don't really have many big names, they've had a very solid bullpen where they have over 8 guys with a 3.76 ERA or below on the season.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Miller's been a huge addition for them. I mean,
and Carlos
in that
Martinez
bullpen.
as well at the back end of games.
Right.
And it's just been able to help them so much. But the Cardinals, for all their strengths with the small ball and on pitching, their hitting is one of the worst teams in the playoffs for offense. For 3 teams this year that have one player with at least a 120 OPS or better, there were the Marlins, Tigers, and Cardinals that did not have a player. And a 120 OPS is 20% above league average in hitting and over 100 plate appearances. Their best hitter right now is Tommy Edman, who was a midseason call-up.
Yeah.
So you really don't know what you're going to get from this Cardinals offense. You're going to need some guys to really step up. You need Paul Goldschmidt to really be that hitter that they were expecting him to be.
Yeah, he just hasn't been the same since he got to St. Louis.
You need Matt Carpenter to hit like he did in the playoffs a few years ago. There's a lot of question marks with them with their offense.
A lot of question marks there. Tell me about the Braves. What do you got?
The Braves, they have one of the best 4 hitters in the league with Ozzie Albies, Ronald Acuna Jr., Freddie Freeman, and Josh Donaldson. Those hitters,
It's impressive.
those are 4 batters you don't want to
They're
face.
all very young, too.
Yeah,
That's
they
the
are
scary
very-
part.
they are
They're going to
very
be
young.
just a terror to the league for the next, 8 years or so, maybe even more.
And what makes them so scary isn't just their offense alone, it's that they're clutch. The Braves have some of the best numbers in baseball in almost every stat once you get to the 7th inning and above. So they're a team that they can score late, and they have a bullpen that's been very on and off this year, but their bullpen can be what makes or breaks it. Because they have guys like Mark Melicon, Shane Green, Chris Martin, Anthony Swarzak. They're not guys that are going to be lighting up the batters, but they're guys that they have been proven pitchers. And you'll also see that the Braves, they have some great defense that can really lead them through. It's just, do they have the depth to get them all the way?
All right. So we've kind of talked about all the teams. Now we're going to kick it over to our bracket shortly, and we're going to show you how far we think everybody's going to go. Welcome back to PTV's MLB Postseason Preview. Ed, let's see your bracket, my man. Let's talk about it.
Thanks, Dylan. Let's go to the board. So starting off with the American League, I have the Athletics taking over the Rays in the single elimination game.
Okay.
I believe that the Athletics, they just have the offense to take them through. I see Chris Davis going off and mashing about 2 home runs and just taking whatever the Rays have pitching-wise with Charlie Morton and Blake Snell and taking him down.
All right.
Looking at the Astros and Athletics, I see the Astros taking down the Athletics. I believe the Athletics are going to give them the most challenging matchup from the American League, but I just feel that the Houston Astros, you look at their pitching, you look at their offense, it just outshines.
Very strong, absolutely.
Looking at the Yankees and the Twins, I spoke about them a lot earlier, and everything the Twins do, I just feel that the Yankees do a lot better. And in the past, the Twins have not been able to slay the dragon, and I don't think this year will be any different.
Right.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Now, on to the National League side. I have the Nationals taking the Brewers on, and I have the Nationals prevailing.
I would agree with
Max
you.
Scherzer, I believe, is one of the best pitchers in baseball, and he's somebody that I would rely on.
Especially
anytime.
at home.
he's just been going off this
Yeah.
year. He's a guy that he's going to have a lot of ferocity in him this year.
Right.
Then with the Dodgers and the Nationals, I see this game going all the way to 5. I think this is going to be one of the best matchups in the series.
Wow.
I think it'll be close, yeah.
I think the Nationals, they've been such a sneaky team. I think Dodgers, with all their weapons, there's just something about them this year. I see them struggling in the playoffs.
Okay.
Whereas the Braves and the Cardinals, I like the Cardinals a lot as a small ball team, but I think the Braves, they just have too many weapons in the top of their lineup. I think they're too clutch.
You talked about it, Acuna and Albies and
Just
all
such a
those guys,
young
yeah.
core, and I think this core is going to shine a little younger than everybody thought. And you have Dodgers, Braves, and then Astros matchup. And I see the Braves being able to take over the Dodgers. I think Dodgers are going to have a really long series. I think the Braves are going to go through the Cardinals pretty quick. I think they're going to be fresher. I think they're going to shock the Dodgers and beat in the World Series. And for the Yankees and Astros, it's going to come down to that 7th game, that home field advantage what the Astros have. It's impacted the Yankees and the Astros in the past, and it's going to impact them again this series.
Okay.
And now for my
Big
World
reveal.
Series champion, it is the Braves. So
Atlanta Braves, oh my
Wow.
goodness.
There's a little bit of an upset with the Braves going all the way.
Yeah.
I'm really buying into their
Way to
core
keep it
four.
interesting.
I think they're overall one of the strongest teams in baseball. Looking at their defense, they have one of the better defensive teams in the league. Everything they do is overall, they may not be best in one exact thing, but they're just so good in so many different categories. And I think there's going to be a lot of ferocity for the Braves to get their championship.
Spreading the talent. All right. Ed's got the hot take with the Braves winning the World Series. Starting off strong. All right, Ben, let's see what you got. Head your way on over.
All right, let's move it over to my bracket. And perfect. I'm going to start in the National League, actually. I think that the Washington Nationals are the most interesting out of all of the wild cards. I think their starting pitching is incredible. Obviously, that doesn't matter a ton unless they get out of this wild card game. But I think a Yelich-less Milwaukee Brewers team, Lorenzo Cain, great player. Mike Moustakas, great player. Is it going to get you past this national squad in a one-game series?
Probably
I don't
not.
think so. So I
would
think
agree with you.
Washington will move on. And I think they honestly have the second best pitching core in the entire playoffs. I think number one is Houston, obviously,
Yep,
with
very strong.
Cole, Verlander, Greinke, all those guys.
Yep.
But I think Washington has a very strong young hitting lineup with guys like Juan Soto, Trey Turner. But will they get past the Dodgers?
No.
Absolutely not.
The
The
beast of the
Dodgers
NL,
are
yep.
stacked.
favorites.
They've got Bellinger, Seager, all those guys that have been here for years,
Yeah.
getting it done, getting to the World Series. I think the Dodgers are going to take that series in 3 games.
Oh, my.
However, the Nationals might be a little competitive. Let's
Okay.
go down here to this 2-3 matchup. I think the Braves are special. The Cardinals are not special. It's simple. That series is going to go 3 games easily. Easily.
The
I don't think
Cardinals
the
struggles
Cardinals
to even finish out
Cardinals
the year.
are not going to be any impact in this playoffs at all. The only reason they're even here is because they played in one of the weirdest, weakest divisions in baseball, and that's the NL Central.
Fair.
Let's head over to the AL.
Okay.
In the wild card game, I think the A's are going to take it over the Rays. Charlie Morton will be on the mound for the Rays. And like I said, they've had decent pitching all year, putting up good numbers, but nothing like super special. Obviously, Blake Snell won't be pitching because
Yep.
Charlie Morton was already named. But, I mean, he's had a down year, and they don't have any offensive firepower at all. They've
Outside
scored,
of Austin Meadows.
yeah, I mean,
But
their
other than that,
game
you're
is
right.
based around their outfield and their defense.
Yep.
Meadows, Kiermaier, who's their other guy? They've got Tommy Pham.
Yep.
It's the
Like-
small things.
Yeah, like their outfield and their defense is what has gotten them 96 wins this season. Is it enough to win a one-game series with no offense? No. So the A's will be moving on, playing the
Okay.
Astros. I think the A's and Astros is a really interesting matchup. I think the A's match up against the Astros better than the A's match up against the Yankees, luckily. But I still think it'll go 4 or 5 games and Houston will squeak out just based on their talent alone. I think they're one of the most talented rosters in baseball right now.
Absolutely. I'm surprised you even have it that close.
Yeah. Similar to what Ed said, the Yankees and Twins are very similar teams. They're based all around their power and some mediocre pitching, if I'm being honest. But the Yankees do everything that the Twins do, but a little better. So, and they're way deeper, and I think their best pitchers are better than the Twins' best pitchers. So I think that series is going to go 4 games, and the Yankees are going to get that out of there pretty easily with not much
I think it'll be a fun series to watch, though. A lot of offense.
And definitely a lot of offense because there's not much pitching.
If you like runs, that's where to look. Yankees Twins.
Definitely. So then, moving on to the championship series, I've got the Dodgers and the Braves. I think that the Dodgers will not make it to the World Series for the third straight year.
Okay.
Well, I mean, meaning that they've made it the past two.
Right. All right.
Because I don't think they could win the World Series if they got there. And I think it's too improbable to go to 3 straight World Series and lose them all. So I just think this young Braves roster with guys like Acuna and Albies and like even just guys who have been around a while, like Freddie Freeman, Josh Donaldson, who's had a great year. Like obviously he was an MVP a few years ago. They've just got all this hitting talent.
Lots of talent.
The Braves are really the team to beat coming out of the NL, to me anyway, just because I don't think the Dodgers have the mental capacity to go to 3 straight World Series and lose them all. In the AL,
you got the hometown favorites, the Yankees.
I think the Yankees are going to take the Astros pitching to 7 games and win. I really think this is the time the Yankees get over the hump. Yankees-Braves World Series.
Who you got?
Let me see my World Series champions. The New York Yankees are going to win number 28 this year. They've had a long, hard-fought season with tons and tons of injuries piled up on top of each other. DJ LeMahieu is a superstar. Do not forget DJ LeMahieu, while quiet, a silent leader in that locker room. He is a superstar.
Yep.
Gleyber Torres, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, all this talent around.
A strong lineup.
They're going to win number 28 this year.
All right.
Come on up.
We're going to switch it over to me now. Let's see what we got for my bracket. All right, let's start with the AL because I do have some disagreements over there with you guys. I have the Rays. This was really tough for me. The Oakland Athletics haven't actually announced their pitcher yet for the wild card game, so that made it really difficult to decide who I think is going to win. I don't even know exactly who's playing. I think Oakland does have the stronger lineup. I agree with you guys there. The one thing that tempted me to pick the Rays, the A's are between 2 pitchers. They're between a righty and a lefty, and I think if they throw the righty Mike Fiers, I think he's going to struggle against Austin Meadows. He's obviously their dominant lefty on that team. He's their best hitter in like all 3 categories, average, home run, RBI. And I think also Tommy Pham, super fast. If he gets on base, a righty's going to struggle to keep him on a little bit more. The lefty is Sean Manaea that they could pick to start. He came in late this year. He had an injury, so I don't think they're going to go with them. I think they're going to go with the righty Mike Fiers, and to me that spells a little bit of trouble, and I'm smelling the upset with the Rays. So that's why I would disagree with you guys there. But I think Houston, I mean, come on, they're the Houston Astros. They've been in the playoffs so much recently. They're just dominating. They got young Yordan Alvarez, who's just a power machine. Altuve, Bregman, they're just going to outshine the Rays. I have that one in 4. I think the Rays probably sneak out 1, probably at Tropicana Field. But other than that, I think it'll be a pretty clean series for the Astros. Yankees Twins, I would agree with you guys there. They're almost the same teams on paper. I mean, the MLB had a post the other day on Instagram comparing their offensive outbursts this season. Almost identical. Home runs, average, RBIs, runs scored, all very, very close together.
I think it's crazy how, the Twins also broke the Yankees home run record when they're still 1-2 for home runs this year.
I know. I mean, they were both had incredible offensive production seasons.
That was a fun matchup.
It was. And I think it'll be fun to watch. Like I said, I think that's where a lot of the runs in this playoffs are going to be. But I think the Yankees, like you guys said, do everything a little bit better. So switching over to the NL, you guys have hit on it pretty well. I mean, Christian Yelich, he's just not there. And that is terrifying if you're a Milwaukee Brewer fan or player. Nationals get that one done with Max Scherzer on the mound. I think I have the Dodgers in 5. It's going to be close. I mean, the Nationals have really good pitching. We've all kind of touched upon how they're going to get close, but just miss getting out of that series. I would tend to agree with you guys on this series, except I think the Cardinals are going to put in a better show than you guys think. They did struggle to shrug me off there. He did struggle.
They're just so mediocre to me.
If they do go far, they're going to be very similar to the 2015 Royals, where they're going to win on defense, small ball, running the ball.
They definitely struggled to get through the gate of the playoffs. They clinched their division on the last day. They had like a week to clinch, and they just couldn't do it. So I think the Braves are going to get by them. The championship series, I'm going to pick the Dodgers in 6. I think that'll be close. I know you guys both have the Braves. I think the Dodgers are going to get it done. I think they're going to go back to the World Series. To me, the Dodgers pitching is just a little more consistent top to bottom. Both lineups are very comparable, but I think the pitching, as well as the bullpen, they're both strong. But again, especially in the pitching category, I would give it to the Dodgers. Astros, Yankees, to me, the Astros are too strong pitching as well. That is something the Yankees absolutely lack in. They just don't have the pitching power to compete with Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole, Zach Greinke, Wade Miley. It's an incredible pitching rotation down in Houston. So for my World Series champions, I have the Houston Astros. I think the Dodgers are going to lose 3 straight years. It's probably heartbreaking as an LA fan, but the Houston Astros, up there we got the date of the final game of what Game 7 would be in the World Series. I do think it's going to go to Game 7. But on October 30th, Houston, we have a party.
Place to be.
Second World Series in 3 years. And that is my prediction for this year's playoff.
All right.
We're going to head back to the desk for one last segment. We're going to wrap up this show, and we're going to talk about who we think could sneak by some of these top contenders. And we welcome you back for one final time. We're going to wrap it up with a couple quick questions, boys. So, gentlemen, I ask you, if one team is going to surprise people, who is your dark horse team? And also, who is your MVP of this postseason overall? Ed, let's start with you.
Well, then I think it will be the Athletics. I think they match up really well against the Rays. And then if they can get through them in that one game, I think they match up really well against the Astros. I said before, I think they're the best matchup that the Astros are going to face in the AL.
I think being in division helps a lot. You see a lot of experience against that team.
The Athletics have been able to have Astros number this year. So I think everything applied. I think the Athletics, this could be the year that Billy Beane can possibly see a championship for Oakland.
Okay.
And as for the MVP, I have 2 different ones. I have one from the NL, one from the AL.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
For my NL one, I think it'll be Cuna Jr. I've been talking about the Braves going all the way.
Right.
They need a star to do it. He's definitely their top talent on the team.
Absolutely.
And this is going to be the series that really puts them into the decision with being next to Mike Trout as some of the best players in the league.
Okay.
For the Astros, I have Garrett Cole.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be the best starting pitcher in these playoffs.
Right.
Because what does Justin Verlander and Zach Greinke have? They want to win the championship. What does Garrett Cole have? He wants to win the championship, and he wants to make the money in the offseason.
Right, next year.
that's
He's
true.
going to have that extra motivation.
He's got that money motivation.
Yeah, he has a little bit more motivation.
A little bit extra push. Okay.
Right. Future Yankee Garrett Cole calling it right now.
I like the analysis there, Edward. Ben, dark horse and MVP. Who do you have?
For my dark horses, I think there's 2 teams that can make a little noise. I think that the A's are a great matchup with Houston, better than they would be if the Yankees were that
The one
one
seed,
seed.
yep.
I think they just really combat all of Houston's finer points, and that they're great defensively. They've got power hitting. I mean, they were 10th in the MLB in slugging percentage with .448, which is pretty good.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
I think they're a really good matchup against Houston if and when they get there.
Right.
And they've just got smart hitters and great defense from guys like Olsen and
Matt Chapman,
right? Yeah. So, I just think the A's are solid. And also the Nationals. Like I said earlier at the board, they've got the second best pitching staff in the playoffs. And I just am excited to see some of their young stars like Juan Soto in the spotlight.
Absolutely. MVP, who you got?
Man, it's got to be Aaron Judge. I mean, the league is looking for a face. I think the Yanks are going to win it all. And if Aaron Judge plays above average, I think not only could the league kind of shift in a little and give it to him because they want a new face of baseball. That's been baseball as an organization's biggest problem.
Yeah.
They want a face of the league, and I think Aaron Judge can and will be that face, especially if he wins a World Series MVP.
All right. I think Mike Trout's the face of the league, but that's a discussion for another day.
Judge is the #1 shirt seller for 3rd straight years now. So.
All right, boy. All right, Yankees fans, let's calm it down over there. My dark horse team, I didn't pick them, and they're a 3 seed, so they're not a super underdog, but I'm going to go with the St. Louis Cardinals. They've struggled of late in getting into the playoffs. We all mentioned that. They're not super impressive coming out of a rough division, but to me, they've got sneaky good starters. Jack Flaherty in particular, he had a fantastic season, sub-3 ERA on the year and just under 200 innings. They've got Dakota Hudson, Miles Mikolas, and Adam Wainwright to back them up. So I think overall they've got a really impressive starting staff. I think that could take them a long way. Yadi Molina as well. He's their catcher. He's a veteran. He knows how to call a game. And I think that could be a huge asset, especially against a younger Braves team. So I think they're a team to look out for to kind of go a little further than people expected. My MVP might seem obvious. You talked about Garrett Cole. I'm going to go with Justin Verlander.
Makes sense.
In his final start, right? Like he's the season pro there. In his final start, he hit the 300 strikeout mark on the year and 3,000 for his career. He's got the best whip in baseball, which is walks and hits per innings pitched, only like 0.8, which is incredible. Most wins on the majors with 21. I think you talked about Strasburg is most in the NL. Verlander's most overall. I just think he's going to continue his dominance and success in this postseason, and I think my pick was obviously the Astros. So I think if he continues to succeed and they continue to win, he's going to be the MVP of this playoff.
It definitely all lines up.
Yeah, we've run out of time for today. We've broke down about everything we could. We analyzed as much as we can. Now it's time for the players to hopefully fulfill our predictions. Alongside Edward Wolf and Ben Harris, I'm Dylan Camp. Thank you for joining us. And this was PTV's MLB Playoff Preview.